Hi friends, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to create this super cute and actually pretty easy card. I totally forgot to record the very beginning of this card, but don't worry, you'll see the coloring. The thing I forgot to video was me stamping this Eucalyptus Fantasy Wreath stamp from Pinkfresh Studios. I stamped it with the Gina Amalgam ink in Whisper so that I could do the no line coloring. And I stamped it onto Nina Solar White 110 pound cardstock. Those were the colors. It went by pretty fast, but I'll tell you again now. The base color I'm using right here is the G40, and these are Copic colors. Then I used the BG01 as the midtone and the B63 as the darkest color. It's not overly dark. I didn't do a super vivid contrast, but I was going for more of a softer look. I do go back in with my Caran d'Ache colored pencils and darken up the deeper areas with the 159 Prussian blue. Now, I've been taking Kathy Rakusin's online card class where she teaches about coloring, and so I've really been enjoying that. I've learned a lot. I'm going ahead and trying some new color combinations, which I liked to do before anyway, but I have learned some really good techniques and a lot of cool stuff. So if you get the chance, definitely go ahead and take that card class. It's really great. I've really enjoyed all of the online card classes that I've taken. So here you can see what I've done is I've colored the lightest color, then I went in with that blue, which is my medium tone. I went back with the lightest color to blend it. Then I added the darkest color, and that's what I'm doing right here. Then I'll go and blend that out with the medium, and then I'll go in once more with the lightest color. Then once it dries just a little bit, I'll go in with that colored pencil. And so I color the whole ring. One thing I didn't know earlier is I knew I was going to stencil over that left-hand side. So when I stamped it, I put a little bit of washi tape over that side so that I wouldn't actually stamp down, because one, I didn't want to color a whole wreath, part of the wreath that you weren't ever going to see, and I didn't want the busyness because I knew that the stencil you'd be able to see through quite a bit of it, so I didn't want the stencil, the open part of the stencil, to show that because I felt like it'd be too busy. So here we are. I've done a speed version of the rest of it, all in the exact same way that we just showed in that no, that wasn't real time, sorry. It was 2 times faster than real time. Then you'll see on the very edges where it blends in, I don't just leave a harsh line. What I'm doing is feathering out that color just a little bit so that it doesn't draw your eye when I put that stencil over, because it's not going to be a straight line on the stencil. If it was a straight line, if the stencil you choose is a straight line, then you probably don't need to worry about it, but I knew I wanted it to be kind of a seamless blend. Now I'm going in with the 159 Prussian blue Caran d'Ache colored pencil, and I'm not outlining it. I'm only doing in the darkest edge and where 2 little leaves kind of overlap. I'm adding a dark line and then doing some lighter feathering out of that color. So here you can see I went ahead and colored one. I stamped out 2 and I colored one earlier. This one that we're coloring now, I went through and did what I just told you about with the colored pencil, and then I'm going through now and coloring over the lines. One thing, as I was coloring over the lines, I think that I could have added some more leaves. I don't think that all of these lines are stems. I think some of them actually go to little leaves that are under some of the other ones, but I really liked the openness. So kind of depending on how full you want that, you can color some of that inside area as leaves as well. Now we're going to move on to the stenciling portion. You'll see here I'm covering up, masking the coloring I just did, and I'm not doing it too straightforward. I want some ragged edges, but I'm covering up the things I want to make sure that won't be covered up in the end product. You also saw I'm going to use the paper texture paste from Finabair or Prima, and I'm going to colorize it with some Distress Oxide shaded lilac. One other thing I want to mention is I'm holding down this Crafter's Companion Workshop Architecture 12x12 stencil with some pixie spray. So here I'm just lining it up where I want that edge, because I knew I wanted a little bit of white off to that right side, and then I'm just going to stick it down. I really like the pixie spray. It gives a really small amount of grip, but I've never had an issue with like tearing of paper. Next, I'm mixing that texture paste and the Distress Oxide shaded lilac color on a little piece of plastic because I don't want to ruin anything. If this gets ruined, it's okay, because it was just some leftover plastic I had from one of my stamp sets. Then I'm going to pull that off and I'm going to start dragging it onto the stencil. I didn't really have a plan here in the sense of I wasn't sure how far I wanted it to go. I just kind of used as much of that texture paste as I had. I ended up making 2 of the exact same cards, but I was not prepared. I did not think to mask both of the cards, so which would have been a smarter thing to do. So if you're making multiples of this card, it would be super easy. You just need to mask it beforehand, and then you'd be like golden. I don't know why I didn't think of it. As soon as I pulled that off, I was like, oh, I should have done that. That would have been so much easier. But instead, I had to take all the washi tape off, clean everything, and then redo it all on the other card. This would be a really easy card to make multiples of. All you'd have to do is stamp a few extra, color them as you feel like it, and then when you're ready, just do the texture paste all at one time. There was a happy accident in the texture paste. I told you I used the shaded lilac, but I also got a little bit of blue come into that because I had some blue left over from the last time I used this stencil. Whoops. So then I set that aside to dry. Then I'm taking my VirsaMark Embossing Ink and I'm putting it down on some vellum. I really wanted some gold vellum for this. I think you could also do, for a little bit less of an impact, more toned down, more in line with the rest of the card, you could have done the pearl color of these perfect pearls, but I went with this more golden perfect pearls. And I'm just putting that down on there. I let this sit for like 5 minutes, but I still could feel the perfect pearls coming off. I don't know if maybe you heat set it or let it sit overnight, if that perfect pearls would hold on real tight to there. But I went ahead and then sprayed that with some spray. I'll show you that in just a second. But I did it. It does have glitter in the spray, but it also is kind of a fixative. So it was really quick and easy, and I really like how this looks with kind of the edges not being covered. I definitely want to do something more with that in the future, but I end up cutting it down so it's only the gold that you see. Then I'm taking this super cute stamp from Concord 9th, and it's from the Painted Rose set, and it says sending love. It was just so cute. It works perfectly with the card. And I'm embossing that onto some black alcohol ink cardstock from Ranger with some white Ranger fine detail embossing powder. Apparently, I like Ranger. But I really like this black cardstock. It is the blackest cardstock that I can find. So I'm heating that, and then I'm going to fussy cut that out. Now, I'm not a super big fan of fussy cutting, but sometimes a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. You know what I'm saying? So quickly cutting that out, and I think it was totally worth it. It looked super cute. I felt like if I left like a square, it would have been too much black. Here is the glitter dust gold spray that I'm using, and it includes some gold glitter, which is really fun. You don't see it too much on top of the gold. It just adds a little bit more shine, and I didn't have to worry about the gold powder coming off on anybody's hands. So I'm going to set those aside for just a minute and let them completely dry. Then I'm just going to fold it around the card. So you'll see here, I decide where to put that little band of gold. It's so cute. And I'm going to put a little bit of washi tape just to hold it in place and flip it over. If you know anything about glue and vellum, they don't go together very well. If you put glue under vellum, you can definitely see where you put that glue. So instead, I'm going to fold over the edges onto the back, and I'm going to put the glue on the back where nobody's ever going to see it. And I'm just going to squish that under. You will see I added a little bit more washi tape on the back just to hold that in place while I turn it over and finish the front. I'm going to put that little sending love with some glue, and I have a very fine line here of glue, and it's just going to sit very nicely and adorably on top of that. I then glue down that front panel to the card base, which is the top folding card. I don't think I show that, but that's all I do. And I do want to remind you that the base of this card base is 110-pound Nina cardstock, which I think is important to note because it holds up a little bit more to the moisture that you get from that texture paste. So I really thought this card turned out super cute. It might be the best card I've ever made. Sometimes I have a problem of putting everything in the kitchen sink into my card design, and really I need to cut out some of that stuff. Leave some stuff on the cutting room floor. I did that today, and look how cute and adorable it turned out. So it's definitely something I'm working on and trying hard to do. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss anything. I also have on my website, terrylisacreates.com, a new members access where we share lots of cool things that are going on in our lives, so definitely check that out. Here are some other videos you may be interested in. I hope you had an amazing fun time with me today, and come back again. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, guys.